So then guys, it's iPhone 16 launch day, or the iPhone 16 release date, whatever you want to call it. And I've got the latest iPhone 16 Pro Max and also the iPhone 16 normal too. And today I just want to give you my first kind of comparisons here of what the actual looks look like compared to, say, the predecessors from last year, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and also the iPhone 15. And then also I want to show you some of the great new benchmark scores that we're going to get from the new A18 Pro and the A18 compared to the A17 Pro and the A16. And then finally I want to go over a few sort of camera shots that I've already taken on this iPhone 16 models, both of them here, to show you what the differences are compared to last year. But I think the best thing we could do first of all is compare the differences between both of these phones, starting out with the iPhone 16 Pro Max to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So at first glances here, they don't look that much different than the 15 Pro Max and the 16 Pro Max, but you can see the 16 Pro Max is slightly taller here at the top there. It's just a little bit bigger, not much in it, but the back feels around about the same, no differences sort of there and everything. So yeah, not really many differences there. And also what I would also say is here on the actual sort of sides, if I get it around the right way, is actually fingerprints. They're not as bad as what they are on the 15 Pro Max. They were a lot worse there. They sort of cleared this up a little bit, a bit like what they did with the MacBook Air from the M2 to the M3, but overall not too much what I would say there. But yeah, you can actually see a bit of a difference. But having a look also, there you can also see the button sort of difference. We've actually got the capture button here now. Obviously we'll have a play with that later. Obviously the iPhone 15s and below do not have this button, but really everything else is the same, the power button and everything. And even just having a look here and flicking things around, you can actually see then obviously the USB-C ports, you know, and the drill holes for speakers and microphone, exactly the same there, no differences whatsoever. And then on the other side I've also got the SIM card version, as you can see here, but obviously yeah, not much difference there at all. And then, you know, even the top, the antennas and everything there, nothing really different I would say. And then also on the rear here, obviously like I said, the finish is very similar on both these models. But then what I'd also say is obviously these cameras, bring them back here, they're about the same size, the square that you've got here for the Pro sort of cameras, even though the 16 Pro Max is larger. And with that, let's now look at the differences between the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 16. So bringing the iPhone 15 here to the 16, obviously I love this new blue color. It's absolutely gorgeous here, but the main difference has got to be the cameras here on the back. They look very different now. Obviously they're now horizontal, vertical, not horizontal, vertical, instead of diagonal this time round, but the finish is exactly the same here. Screen size, you know, exactly the same. It's the same 6.1 inch that we have here. And if we just compare like the actual buttons that we have, we've now got the action button obviously added on the iPhone 16, got the SIM card tray like I said, so here like in the UK for example, you're not in the USA or France, but don't have them. But yeah, the top look exactly the same, the antennas separated exactly the same way here. And just on the other side there, you can see we've actually got the capture button on the iPhone 16. The 15 does not have this, the same with like the Pros. And the drill holes at the bottom are exactly the same with USB-C. And then obviously on the rear here, obviously the cameras are the biggest difference that you're going to notice between both of these phones. But obviously the flash and everything, they've been in different places, as you can see right there. So moving along then, let's have a look at then some benchmark scores. How different is the A18 and the A18 Pro compared to, say, the likes of the A17 Pro and also the A16 that we got last year in those iPhones? So I'm going to do some benchmark tests and let's see what the differences are this time round. So I started out with Geekbench 6, and obviously we've got the iPhone 15 here on the far left, and then we've also got the iPhone 16 here next to it, and then obviously the iPhone 15 Pro Max here, and then obviously the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So the 15s are in the black sort of dark mode, and obviously the new 16s are in the white good sort of colours, if you could say that. So yeah, I'm going to click here to run them. Well, maybe. I've got to do the next bit. I've got to actually run the CPU benchmark. So yeah, let's run them here to actually get the CPU kind of benchmark we're going to get here. So I've just sped this along here to the end to see what the results are. And you can see right away the differences that we got here. Obviously the iPhone 15 with that A16 is definitely behind there in its single core performance at 2,649 and 6,725. And then we've got the A17 Pro inside the likes of the iPhone 15 15 Pro Max as the 2855, then 7096. But just look at the difference here then, obviously for the 16 and obviously the 16 Pro Max here with the A18 and the A18 Pro. There's not that much difference between them. I thought there'd be more of a gap here. They're very, very close in their CPU performance, both achieving over 8,000 in multi-core performance, which was amazing to see. But then let's have a look then at the next test here. Let's have a look then at Antutu next, and obviously let's get this benchmark started. And obviously, so yeah, let's run them all on these machines, and then let's speed this all along then, nice and quick again, because obviously, yeah, this is going to take some time to complete. Now, I'm going to say this, funny enough, you can see there that the iPhone 15 actually crashed. It actually crashed, and I actually rerun this test 3 times and it kept on crashing. So unfortunately, we will not have the scores of this, so yeah, we're gonna have to leave this one out. But there again, you know, you can see here the difference between the A17 Pro to the A18, and then obviously the A18 Pro there, the differences that we've got right here. So yeah, it's definitely we're getting a boost this time around on all of those phones there, on the 16 phones. Then finally, let's move over to 3D Mark, and obviously I've done the Wildlife Extreme just once over to see what the test is like. Let's fast forward this again to see where we get to with the results here, and I'm just going to look at the frames per second. And obviously this time the iPhone 15 survived, so it got 18.6 frame per second, but then obviously the A17 Pro is ahead there with 23.8 frames per second. Then the iPhone 16 with the A18, 24.5, but then the Wildlife Extreme on the A18 Pro, yeah, it's leaps and bounds ahead there. We got 27.4 frames per second. So yeah, definitely a good kind of sort of about 4 frames per second more than the A17 Pro. What's very, very impressive to see. But then what I did next of all is I turned these phones over and I ran that same test again. Obviously I've got to get it straight, but as you can see right here, we're getting about 45 degrees here on the iPhone sort of 15, around about that. And then obviously on the iPhone 16, it's about the same temperature. There's not actually that much difference here on the rear, the hottest spot I can find. And then obviously here, then with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, about 46 degrees, 45 degrees there. And then finally the iPhone 16 Pro Max, 44, 45, slightly cooler, but not that much more. But we are getting more power. So really, it's not that much different then in heat, I would say. And there we have it, folks. As you can see, the A18 is not actually that far behind the A18 Pro, what's in the likes of, say, the Pro models this year. I thought there'd be more a gap, but yeah, it's quite interesting to see that on the initial kind of benchmark sort of test that we've done right now. But moving on from that, the other thing what I've done is I've actually taken these iPhones outside, actually done some pictures with them as well, out and about, and just to see how they all work and everything. And the best place I've done this is in the great British countryside. And I've decided to do some landscape photos, as you can see here, posing for them. So let's get started then with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So this here is at a 0.5 with the ultra wide angle. And then obviously if we go into the normal wide, one that we normally standard at, you know, this is really, really clear, you can see today. And even going up to the 2x zoom, this is still very, very good. And then, you know, if we push this over now to the top of the optical zoom capability, 5x zoom capability, and let's push this all the way to the top digital zoom now. So this is at 25x zoom here. But then on the 15 Pro Max, again, the ultra wide at 0.5 is how it looks. And then let's move over to a 1x zoom, how this looks on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let's push it up again to 2x zoom. Still a lot of detail we are seeing right here. And then obviously this here is the top 5x optical zoom that we have with this phone. And then let's push it over to its 25x digital zoom. Again, very similar to the 16 Pro Max, I would definitely say here. But looking at the iPhone 16, then obviously it's 0.5, how it's got here, and then obviously this can go up to the 1x with the normal wide that we've got. And then obviously what you can do is you can actually push that up to a 2x zoom, what we've also got right here, what is quite good. But then the digital zoom, this is at 6x this can go up to, but it does look a bit grainy, I must admit here. And then it's the same with the iPhone 15, 0.5 as you can see right here. And then then obviously pushing that up to a 1x standard zoom, still very good today, and then obviously pushing it up to a 2x zoom, as you can see right here. You can see a few more details, but let's push it right up to the digital zoom. Still not the best, I'd say, at a 6x digital zoom, but you can just about still work out what you've got. But really, everything I just did there was just to show you guys here as an initial kind of test of how good the camera is in taking photos. Not much difference, I would say, between the models this year. Last year you can see definitely a difference with the 3x to 5x zoom on the Pro Max, but let's have a look at some video tests next of all. So now we're going to record at 60 frames per second at 4K, and we're going to zoom right in. We're at 0.5 here on video. We're now at 1x, 2x, oh, a bit too fast, 5x, and now we can stretch it all the way up to the maximum 15x zoom, what you can do on video here, same as the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I'm talking about the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Here it is, and we're at 0.5, and then I'm going to pinch up. We're going to go up to 1x zoom there, and then we're going to go further. We're now at 2x, and sorry about the wind noise, because obviously it's a bit windy today, good old Britain. Up to 5x, and then let's stretch this all the way up then to the maximum 15x zoom that you get there. And now let's look at the iPhone 16. So at 0.5 zoom here, so I'm going to pinch up. Now at a 1x zoom there. You can see the camera sort of flicks a little bit. Again, excuse the wind noise there, it's very windy today. And then obviously I'm going to go up to the 2x zoom we have there, and then we can push this all the way up to the maximum 6x digital zoom that we have with the iPhone 16. And now we're on the iPhone 15, so I'm just going to zoom in here at 0.5, going up to 1x zoom, 2x zoom, and pushing it all the way up to the 6x digital zoom, what you can do on video on iPhone 15. So to be deadly honest, there isn't that much of a difference between the last generations of iPhones and this generation of iPhones with taking pictures like the ones I've done there. I think what the difference is the level of control what you can do with an iPhone. That is definitely different this year. And Apple even showed this at their events, as you can see right here, the amount of different controls that you can actually do. And to be honest, this new capture button, it's going to take some time to get used to it. We've had like 15, 16, 17, I don't know, plus years of using touchscreens on our iPhone, and we've been using them to do all our zooms and capabilities and taking pictures, but to get used to this button again, it's going to take some time. And to be honest, this button here, it reminds me of an old Nokia N95 what I used to have years ago, where you actually have the zoom capabilities and things like that on the top here, and it's getting used to the fact that that button's there. But what I do have a bit of a doubt about is that so many of us got used to using the screen that we'll actually just won't bother using that button at all. That's the only one thing I'm going to say there. It's going to take some time getting used to that button again. But overall, it is still a great upgrade this year with these phones, and I absolutely do love them. And I am going to be doing even more in-depth kind of reviews for both of these phones, comparing them to older iPhones, to other brands too, over the next week or so. So yeah, if I've missed out anything today, don't worry, that is going to be coming. So yeah, that's going to be in the future of video. And if you do want to see those future videos, make sure if you haven't done so already to subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell too. And with that as well, guys, it's time to wrap up this video. So if you have enjoyed watching it, please do press the like button. Until next time, guys, I'll see you really soon. Take care. Bye bye.